Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here going through something a little bit different. Yes, it's been a while since I did a wheel settings video on the channel. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions recently. Of course, I have now purchased the Fanatec CSL DD. I'm going to be doing a full review of that wheel probably in a couple of weeks once the real life Formula 1 season is over. You know, I sort of want to make a proper review of this product down the line, but a lot of you guys have been asking sort of how I'm getting on with it, and I also wanted to sort of go through the changes I made from the CSL PS4 edition, which, speaking of which, I should be able to find somewhere. Yeah, so of course, this was the wheel I used to run the Fanatec CSL Elite PS4 edition. Of course, now I'm on the CSL DD. Shouldn't be needing that anymore, although, funnily enough, I have actually pre-ordered the PlayStation Gran Turismo Sport version of the DD wheel, so there's probably going to be another update video when that rolls around. F1, however, shouldn't really be any different, but Fanatec is taking far too much money from me recently. In terms, though, of our F1 2021 sort of setup and everything like that, of course, I'm going to do a whole sort of dedicated video to all of my hardware. Of course, it's not just the DD wheel and this. Obviously, you see I've got my pedals, I've got the handbrake and shifter, which don't really sort of get featured in many main channel videos there, and a couple of other rims that I use. Normally, I think Mat 2 and 2 Racing is probably the best way to go and check sort of everything out that I've got. But obviously, to change your wheel settings in-game, of course, you head over to Game Options, then into Settings, and then, of course, you head over to Controls, Vibration, and Force Feedback. And then, of course, we head all the way over. I've made a custom profile for the CSL DD. You can see I actually made a couple of other ones that didn't quite go as I'd originally intended with this wheel. So, I mean, you can call it whatever you like. I've just gone with GG. There was no rhyme or reason behind that. Of course, in terms of normal sort of settings, I haven't really got anything changed. Gear up and clutch are obviously the exact same button. That's the same for pretty much everyone on F1 2021. DRS and pit limiter, again, are basically the same for everyone on F1 2021. I don't get sort of why you change those. All my other sort of settings are pretty much normal. You know, there's sort of no surprises there. So, yeah, that's obviously all of that, but to actually go in and obviously change your force feedback settings, of course you head right the way back up to the top and then go into vibration and force feedback. Now, I really like a wheel that is very, very strong on F1 2021. You know, it's always been something I quite like. You know, I like to really sort of have to drag a car into the corner. I'm generally, I think, fairly unusual in the fact that I actually prefer an understeery car over an oversteery car. You know, I sort of like to try and drag a car into a corner if I can, rather than try and recover it on the exit there. So that's obviously why I run really high force feedback. You know, you sort of properly struggle to get the car rotated into the corner there. So I'm running 130% of force feedback strength. Obviously, unlike the old CSL that was belt driven, this one, of course, direct drive, hence DD. So you don't get as much sort of chatter from it, obviously, when you're running sort of really high vibration. So I'm able to do that a lot more. I run 30 on-track effects. Of course, that affects the environment. So things like, obviously, bumps on the road. So old Suzuka was notorious for that. And there's a couple of other tracks on F1 2021 that are pretty bad. Rumble strip effects, I'm also running 30. Of course, that is curbs on F1 2021. Off-track effects, generally I've tended to run a bit lower on previous games, but it feels like the effect is a bit lower anyway on F1 2021, so I'm running that at also 30, so that's obviously things like gravel and grass. Grass you can't really sort of get a feel for on F1 2021 anyway. You should be able to see when you're going there as well, of course. And then the wheel damper, I'm running at 30% as well. I'm slowly lowering that ever so slightly. I don't like to try and run a wheel damper as best as possible. It was actually just before I bought the boost kit for the CSL DD. It was trying to, you know, sort of make it a little bit harder to turn as well. The understeer enhance I have got on. Obviously, it made a lot more of a difference, I feel, on F1 2020 over F1 2021. And then, of course, maximum wheel rotation, I'm running at 360 degrees. I like a wheel that matches all the way around. Obviously, 180 degrees from normal both ways. You know, I don't get how anyone can only run like 270 or runs like 500. It's just what I'm used to as well, I suppose, on the games. Now, of course, when you get to your actual wheel, obviously, if you're on Fanatec hardware, obviously, you can change all the settings as well in the wheelbase. I'll leave a link to the old CSL video I did as well, where we sort of run through a lot more of what each setting actually does. But again, this is sort of like a quick update video, so I'm just going to sort of run through all the numbers then. So sensitivity, first of all, I'm running at 2520. I had a few issues originally with the CSL. I'm not sure if it's now fully sorted, but to do this I actually had to go onto my computer and change it around so you can run F1 2021 at a sensible setting. Otherwise you're just having to run truckloads of steering lock, because Formula 1 is the only game that doesn't natively support anything for some reason. You've got to go through and manually change your hardware. In terms of force feedback, again, in the wheel I'm running 95, so 130 in-game, 95 on my normal wheel. If you run it at 100, actually inside the base, you tend to get a little bit more chatter, which again, I don't mind too much, but it comes through on the video because the microphone's right there. So that's obviously why I run it just a little bit less, so it doesn't quite get caught up as much. Force feedback scaling, I'm running at peak. I sort of just found for me it was what worked best. And then in terms of NAT/DMP, not 100% sure, that's obviously dampening of some sort there. I'm running at 50, so that I think is, yeah, natural damping, I want to say, on the wheel there. Again, I'm sort of tweaking a couple of these things just slightly still, but this is pretty much where I'm happy with it on this wheel there. Natural friction, I'm running at 80. Again, I like a really good sort of feel through the tyres. I want to know what the car's doing underneath me, so that's why I run that quite high. And then natural inertia, I'm running at 85 as well there, so that does a very, very similar thing as well, which is really, really important. Force feedback, INT interval, I can't remember exactly what that stands for. I've got that running off, so that basically means we get the full force feedback from the wheel. It's not like it's trying not to spike or anything like that. You know, occasionally you will, like if you hit a wall, for example, the force feedback in my eyes should spike, so that's why I've got that running off. Force feedback effectiveness as well, I'm running that on 100. Again, I like to know what's going on inside my wheel. Brake level, I'm running off. I just haven't really sort of found it to be useful on F1 2021. Shock vibration, I'm running at 100. Again, feeling through the wheel. I feel like I'm saying that a lot in this video. And then the MPS FNC I've got on auto. That is, I'm pretty certain, for these switches that of course you can't use on Xbox. I'm pretty certain you can dial them in on PC and maybe PlayStation 5, but they don't work on Xbox, which of course is my main still console to record these videos. Brake force, I'm running at 40%. Obviously that is completely down to what pedals you're running. I use the Fanatec CSL Loadcell kit, so I mean, yeah, 40% is still quite a lot of pressure you've got to put through the brakes before you start to lock up. But there we go. That is my F1 2021 Fanatec CSL DD wheel settings. If you guys have got any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. I'll try and respond to them as best as possible. Like I said, go back and check out the other video I did as well, obviously, where I sort of went through a lot more of what each setting actually does inside your Fanatec wheel. In terms of whether I'd recommend a Fanatec product to people, so far I've had no issues with the CSL DD, but you guys that have been around the channel for a while will know I had quite a lot of issues with the CSL PS4 edition in the past. So don't get me wrong, when it's working, it's brilliant hardware, but I'm going to wait and see before I really recommend this wheel as well to you guys as well. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Again, a massive thank you. At the time of recording this, we've now hit 23,700 subscribers. We're just 1,300 away from 25k, which was far beyond what I thought was going to be possible by the end of the year. So a massive thank you to all of you guys that have clicked that sub button as well. But yeah, we'll hopefully be back tomorrow with sort of more normal content. I had a couple of issues getting a normal video out today, so yeah, normal content will resume tomorrow. Thank you all though so much for watching, and I'll see you guys with more F1 2021 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel supporters, so a massive thank you to The Travesty, Patrick, Chwan, David, Ben, Aidan, Estatios, Cato, Sean, Johnny, McBlam, Mighty Spork, Tazief, William, and Nanon for becoming channel members. If you want to be featured at the end of all these videos, make sure you just click the join button down below.